Filming live from the firehouse, it's Good Night with Christopher Blue. With special guest, Edna Bland. I'm your co-host, co-host Reverb. And here's your host, Christopher Blue.
Hello, and welcome to Good Night with Christopher Blue. I'm Christopher Blue, and I would like to thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Don't forget to ring that bell so you get notified whenever we upload new content. And we have an awesome show for you tonight. Tonight, we have an interview with a puppeteer who was mentored by the Big Bird himself. Wow. When we come back, Edna Bland.
Daddy, what are you doing?
Oh, just working on my boring case for work, drinking out of my boring coffee mug.
Dad, don't you think your life would be a lot better if you were drinking out a mug like this?
Really? This is the best mug in the world. You are not my favorite child. I was literally considering sending you off to boarding school. Oh, but now I'm actually going to put you in my will. Billy, thank you.
Yay!
Become your parents' favorite child by getting them Good Night with Christopher Blue merch. Link in the description. Welcome back. As I said before, we have an awesome interview with a puppeteer. So without further ado, take it away, Chris. Here I am with the Edna Bland. Hello, Edna.
Hello, Chris. Good evening.
Good evening. Good night, as we like to say on this show.
Good night.
How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am a teacher that just started winter break. And absolutely am happy because I'm on break.
Of course. Wonderful. Which, again, this isn't coming out until January, but yeah. So
okay, well, take two then. Two. Hi, good evening, Chris. Or good night. I'm doing great.
Chethiya, keep all this in.
Happy New Year.
Yes. So yeah, I've been trying to speak with you for a little while, but you're a very busy person. I totally understand.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, because my audience, I'm sure, has no idea who Edna Bland is. So.
What? They don't?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Tell us who you are, please.
Okay, well, my name is Edna Bland. So I'm originally from Huntington, Long Island. I'm a Long Islander, and born and raised. and I can put on my accent when I want to.
Yeah, it's perfect. That's you.
It should be perfect, Chris.
Yeah.
But so I grew up around a very arts type family as well as a religious family also. But I actually I wanted to become a teacher ever since I was in I was a camp counselor, and I helped a little girl spell her name correctly, and she came up to me and said, "Teacher, teacher," and that was it. The teacher bug bit. I have some aunts who were teachers, and so I went to college up in Rochester, New York, which is basically like 2 miles away from Canada. and so to be a music teacher with voice being my major. But I love business, and there was something about coordinating things, organizing things ever since I was like 12. And I share with students that, and people like, there's something that you do really well. And if you do that thing really well, it's just going to naturally come out. So I was, when I was a kid, back in my day, 1800s, we actually had, when we wanted to go to the movies, we actually had to call on a rotary phone, and listen to the movies and the times. And so I was the one who coordinated all of that. I listened, and we picked out the movies. Okay, your parents going to pick us up. Yours is going to drop us off. This is how much money you need. This is how much the candy costs. Like, I did all of that stuff. And whenever there was, we were going to have a little party at someone's house, I was planning the parties. And so I was already being a producer, which is what I love to do. At 12, I just didn't know what I was doing, at that time, what it was officially, I was doing. So fast forward, when I got into college, I actually got the worst case of stage fright ever. Never had it any other time through elementary, middle, high school, did school plays, all that kind of stuff, choir. I freaked out in college. And I don't know if I
What do you think was it that made you, have
um,
stage fright in college?
well, the world is bigger because you're in
Okay.
college, and
Yeah.
there's more people who are like you and better, and it was intimidation and everything else, and I just freaked out. I froze out. I froze up, and I had he's still a great friend, a accompanist who I never forget the night he took me to on the side. It was in the cafeteria, and he just said, Edna, you can't do this. You fall apart every time you go to sing, and I said, you think that whole reverse psychology? Yes, I can do that. No, you're wrong. Yeah, you're right. I pretty much suck at this now. Yeah. I had the shakes and the butterflies and stuff, and my like I said, my family, like my mom, my sister, and I, we would sing in church together. Like I never had any problems, and so it was like I freaked out. I said, "Yeah, you're right." So the next year, I minored in business, and then I went home on at the same school. I went home on a spring break. And old high school friend said to me, there's a school, it's called Five Towns College. At that time, Five Towns was only a 2-year school. It's now a 4-year, I think you probably can get a doctorate there now. But at the time, it was a 2-year school. And I went to study. He says, you can study the music business. And besides, I was a walking TV guide when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like my mom could say, what's on channel 2 at 8:00 on Wednesday? And I would know.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
It was
wow.
Little weird talent. And so television and music were my main loves. And so as my friend is like, it's TV, movies, this and that, whatever. And then the clincher. And then you can hang out with famous people. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. So let's go. And I transferred out, and that's what I did. I had great internships at Capitol. At that time, it was called Capitol EMI Records. I worked at Chrysalis Records, Jive Records. Oh my goodness! And then I just kept going on to work for different types of entertainment companies. I worked for a radio syndication called MJI Broadcasting, and so they would make radio shows for radio stations. So, the graveyard shifts or specials, like how Christmas is coming up. So there might be an engineer in the studio, but all the shows are totally recorded. And so we actually would have the celebrities and the musicians come into the studios, and I had to take care of them. Wow. And so giving Joe Cocker a beer at 10:00 in the morning and Simmons and Brady. Yeah, I got stories, but fun stories. And it was true. I got to meet a lot of famous people. They're just like us, It's their entourage that sometimes they're in the way, but they're great.
So how did you go from producing shows and getting into puppetry?
Okay, well,
yeah,
that was the whole setup from all that other stuff.
Oh, wonderful.
Because one of my jobs in the entertainment business in New York City was working for the Emmy Awards, the New York Emmy Awards, and I worked for them for 7 years.
Wow.
And I started becoming a producer. I was a talent coordinator, and my last official title was director of projects. So the Emmys for the membership, they would have different types of dinners and little award shows and stuff like that. And they had a award program called the Silver Circle Awards, and it was inducting people in the special Emmy Silver Circle who were in television for 25 years or more. So one particular year, they inducted Carol Spinney, who, as we know, is the late, great Carol Spinney of Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. So I'm doing business with him on the phone, and he sounded like Big Bird, but just in lower register. And wonderful man, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. And his wife, Debbie, also, just magnificent people. And so one day I'm talking to him on the phone and taking care of some business. And I said, Mr. Spinney, I have a confession. I have a story to tell you. He goes, yeah, what? And I said, well, when I was a little girl, I absolutely loved Sesame Street. And I wanted to live on Sesame Street. I wanted to be Gordon and Susan's child, who were the only Black couple that was on the show. So I was like, I wanted to live in the 123 building with them, and I want to be their kid. And my mom knew this too. That was like my fantasy. She was like, I love my mom, love my parents, but I want to live on Sesame Street. And so, my mom took me to an autograph signing at the mall because she knew how much I loved Susan in Sesame Street. and it was an autograph signing of Loretta Long. And I said to her, I want you to be my mom. I remember her hugging me, and I remember her smile. I guess she said, sure. I just don't remember the actual dialogue. I do remember her lovely smile and her hugging me, okay? So I tell him this story, and he says, well, why don't you come to the studio? The Kaufman Astoria Studio, which is located in Queens.
You can't say no to that.
And I was like, seriously? And so he invited me to the set. And that day, I don't remember seeing any humans, but I saw Marty Robinson doing Telemonster, and maybe a couple of other puppeteers. And I saw them laying under things, crawling under things, rolling things, singing. And I just said, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It literally was love at first sight.
Wow.
And long story short, I talked to him about this, and I said, I want to learn how to do this. I want to do this. And he said, if you're very serious, then okay, you can come here as many times as you want, with or without me, and I will show you.
Wow. And
I did. I went as much as I could. I stood in the back, and like I've heard others tell the same kind of story. You stand, away, and you ask questions when you can. And when he wasn't shooting, either if it was the dressing room or the commissary for lunch, and he would just sit there and just pour into me. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And everybody on that set and show. And when I first walked into the studio, it's a semi-permanent studio. So the 1, 2, 3 steps is here, Mr. Hooper's store. You see Big Bird's Nest. But you still see the cameras and the lights, are around. But you don't care, because you're like, there's no other place like this on the planet.
Right.
And you're like, I'm on Sesame Street, and I instantly regressed down to being 4 again. It was fabulous. It's fabulous. So that's how I became a puppeteer. And I'm just one of those people that when I'm into something, I'm into it 200%. So
I understand that completely. Did you happen to ever get a chance to perform on Sesame Street?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I did not perform. But I've auditioned I'll give you a quick little full circle moment. The Henson, even though the Jim Henson Company and Sesame Street are both Muppets, they're still 2 separate companies,
right.
Or 2 different separate divisions. And so but you still have to go through the Hensons for the most part. I think things are a little bit looser now, but back then you always had to go through the Henson Company first. So those auditions are far and few between. Mm-hmm. For example, like after the one last year, the last time they had one was 2015.
Wow.
That's how, yeah. Okay. So back then it came around. And by this time I was part of the Puppetry Guild in New York City. I was studying puppetry in other places. And I'm not done with that story, by the way. I'll get back to it.
Okay, for sure.
But so it came around. I had my friends help me with a video, because you have to submit a video. So I had my video ready. I had all the stuff ready. I was going to submit, and it was like, I guess they had too many. Whatever the story was, they would not allow me to submit. Oh. And I was like, what? And I didn't throw like, well, I know Carol Spinney kind of thing.
Right.
I was just like, I have all these connections, and I cannot get through this door. Wow. And they, at one time somebody even said, well, you can try in California. I'm like, but I live in New York. It's like, I'm down the block. I can't. Right. I was still working for the Emmys, and I asked the then membership director for Kevin Clash's home number. And Kevin Clash, was formerly, Elmo, the original Elmo, but also he's a Muppet captain. So he gave me the number. I called him at home. He was right. When you're determined to do stuff,
that's right.
You got to think outside the box. You got to be willing. Sometimes you got to stand out in the cold for a few hours to meet who that person is. Whatever. But if you're determined, you should go after it. And so it was a voicemail, of course, And a couple of years later, I was at actually a Henson event, and he was there. And I walked up to him, and I didn't say it like, I just said I called you at home or something, or I left you a message, whatever it is. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't call you back. And be that he meant it or not, I felt sincere, and I was like, okay. By the way, at that particular event was Frank Oz also. It was like,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty cool. And so
For those at home, Frank Oz, if you don't know, we have Miss Piggy, we have Yoda from Star Wars fame, Grover,
Fozzie Bear.
Fozzie Bear.
Yeah,
A legend when it comes to the Muppets, for sure.
Exactly. Director of the Blues Brothers movie.
Yeah.
The others. Yeah. Just huge, right? So yeah, just a little starstruck that evening. And so that was that. I just felt, you know what, my puppetry is for the community, and I'm just going to I love this art form, and I'm just going to learn all about it and just indulge myself in it as much as possible. And if an opportunity comes up again, then it comes up, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to bounce back, and I'm going to go back again. Watch,
yeah,
okay?
that's fine. I have ADHD, so I understand.
But it all ties together.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that next moment to audition, okay, I go to a whole nother event, and I was there with my sister. It was at Madison Square Garden, so it's a big arena, and in any kind of a huge arena like that, there's bathrooms every in every few steps or whatever. And so I was going in there with my sister into the arena, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go to the restroom before. Good audience etiquette, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the restroom before you go to a show. And so, because I didn't want to get up and miss anything. So anyway, I walk into this particular restroom, and who is there but Loretta Long, Susan from Sesame Street. Of all the restrooms in a giant room. So I'm a firm believer of nothing just happens. No. Okay. And so I call her by her real name. I say Loretta. And she, really, she said it made her look, because people, would call her by her stage name, but this is someone who knows my real name. Okay, who are you? Type of thing. So we, long story short, I told her, explained everything. By that time, I got my puppet princess, who I'm going to show you in a few moments. I had her, and so she said, "Look, I am traveling around." I'm Dr. Loretta Long. I have a doctorate in education, and I go around and do keynote speaking for educational conferences, yada yada yada. And she said, "Would you like to come with me? And you can bring your puppet." And we wrote a skit together, and I travel around. So the person who I met at 4 years old and wanted her to be my TV mom, I grew up working with, and she became one of my mentors also.
I love that.
So like I said, nothing just happens. Okay, so now we're jumping back again. So you see we're all put together, Chris? See how
I love it.
Okay, so last year, remember I said before about the audition, right?
Yes.
So I think it was last year that there was another call that went out from the Hensons, and they were looking for BIPOC people, Black, Indigenous people of color, and also any other type of specialty people, if you want to say, or anything like that. So it was a call out to audition for the Hensons again. They wanted people at least, well, that was one criteria. There was another criteria that you had to be 5'4", and and different things like that. So I said, I'm not 5'4".
Yeah.
I'm 5 feet on a good day.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And I had asked my other friends, are you going to do this? Like, no, I don't have the time. I don't have this. I'm not tall enough. People have excuses.
Yeah.
Okay. They always have excuses not to do something. But if you want to, what is wrong with trying?
Right.
What's the worst case scenario, Chris?
You get turned down.
That's right.
Then you just try again.
Yeah. At least you can say, at least I tried.
Exactly.
Like, why are we going to regret, something like, shoot, I should have done that.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, do I fit those criteria? Not really, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So I made my video, and all that kind of stuff. All of a sudden I get an email one day, and it's a Vimeo link, and I click on the link, and it's like, hi, this is Brian Henson. If you are seeing this, you have been one of the ones selected out of 2,000 people across the whole world, the world, to audition.
Chills. I have chills right now. That is awesome.
And yeah, so he goes on to explain what criteria, what they're looking for and stuff like that. So I had my virtual, because it was virtual, you have your virtual audition, and if you passed that, then you got invited to go to Hollywood. However, it was for 3 weeks. So yeah, this was 2021. Yeah. So we're still under pandemic rules. So where they would have like 100 people, they had to bring it down to like 50. So I knew it was really slim. But anyway, it was just the fact of, oh my gosh, I finally get to audition. And who did I audition for? Come on.
I can guess.
Come on.
Big Bird?
No.
No. Oh, he passed. Yeah, so it couldn't have been him. So, yeah. Elmo himself? Wonderful.
It was Kevin Clash.
And did he remember you in all of this?
Oh, I don't. I think I looked familiar to him, but he didn't say. We were,
Okay.
it was a short 15 minutes and stuff like that. There was somebody else that was on there too, who was doing all the questions and stuff. And basically what they did was how the audition went after, you kind of said a little bit about yourself. Then they wanted to see your puppet, and it was basically puppet improv. They the host kept asking the puppet questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we didn't have a list of questions or anything of the scenario. The only thing we had to do was have our character developed and enough that we could answer, questions. And that's one of the most important things in puppetry, that you have that background, that profile, so that whenever you do what's called a walkabout, that's just you when you walk around just talking with your puppet to people, it's called a walkabout, or you have to do any kind of improv, you already know, I call it in your mind's file cabinet, what you have this all in your brain of the stats. It's like, remember of course, remember the Terminator movies, right?
Oh yes, of course.
And this is how I explain to my kids. Remember how the Terminator, whenever he was trying to eye looking for the boy, that he would look at someone and all these stats would come up like, right? So it's like, that is what you do with puppetry. You have all that. Do you like my sound effects?
I do.
So you have all of that in your head. So then when people are talking, it's because I know this is kind of weird, but it's like, when you have a puppet on your arm, it's in your energy, everything goes into that puppet.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you are literally talking and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to call it a split personality, but it's just like that puppet has its own personality. I have certain puppets that are like, like the Muppets have anything puppets. They can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have specific ones that I use for specific reasons and have specific voices and specific backgrounds.
Right.
And so I would not use that puppet to do something else. I have a little pink teddy bear named Rosita Maria also. And so she's speaking Spanglish. And so, so I have her for specific things that she would do specific, like I would not have her be, Lady Macbeth or something like that.
Right. No, so I totally understand what you're saying. The audience at home probably appreciates the explanation, but like, so I have my only puppet here. I have a Kermit puppet, and I'm not a expert puppeteer by any means, but like I get it. Kermit has his own personality, and
Well, let's think. Okay, this is the teacher part of me. Okay, so let's do a puppet lesson real quick.
Okay, wonderful.
So you are so puppet is Kermit is an already established puppet.
Yes.
Okay, but let's talk about his background. What is his personality like?
Kermit, I've always viewed him as a introverted leader, kind of shy, but when he needs to be, he can be kind of forceful.
Mm-hmm. Assertive. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
assertive. Thank you.
Teacher in me.
No, that's great. I don't do words well. But yeah, so it's kind of funny because one reason why I think I relate to Kermit so much is with my show, a lot of people on the team have said I'm kind of like Kermit because I'm always running around putting out fires when there's a show we have to do. So
okay, yeah. So I tell my students, and what I'm saying with my students, because after being in the entertainment business for a while, and I absolutely loved it and I had a great time. But like I said, just things happen, life changes, and I went back to teaching, because teaching is a true teacher. It's a calling. You can't, you can teach in different ways, but it's going to be a calling no matter what. I now am a theater and puppetry arts teacher in a performing arts middle school in Florida. And I have, this is the 6th year, I have what's called a puppet team. And it's not a club, but it's an actual performance team of middle school kids. I have 7 people on my team. This is probably about my 7th. So I worked there for 11 years. So maybe this is about my 7th or 8th team. And a lot of times some of them start in 6th grade and they will stick with me to 8th, and, or at least 7th, 8th. Once they're on the team, they're invited to stay forever. And so we perform at the school as well as in the community. Then I wanted to start a class. And so it's the 6th year of the puppetry arts elective class. It's the only one of its kind in the whole country.
Wow.
Where the kids learn how to build puppets and then they perform with them.
That sounds awesome.
It's my school is also what's called a Title I school. That means it's mostly free and reduced lunch also, even though it is a performing arts school. So I have to come up with ideas for them to make puppets that are cost effective.
Right.
So, like Dill will do a unit in marionettes, and the marionettes are the control bars would be, large craft sticks. But then I let them whatever they want to have as the puppet themselves. It could be anywhere from toilet paper rolls to, they still have to be creative with it. Some of them make stuffed animals. Some of them even just I've had Barbies, Beanie Babies. But I wanted them to understand they still have to do some basic construction, and they still have to make a backdrop and to perform a show. So if they get down, at the end of the day, what's the basics that, you want them to understand, to walk away with? A marionette is a puppet that's operated by strings and a control bar, okay, type of thing. So that's what. So when I keep saying my students, that's that's what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And like I said, it's middle school, so that's 6 to 8. So that's about 11 to 14-year-olds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we've seen my favorite puppet. You have hinted a little bit that we will be seeing your favorite puppet. Do you have this puppet with you?
Tell the other ones that she's got.
Okay, we'll keep it between us.
But she knows. Of course she knows. Well, hi, Chris.
Hello there.
So, hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We are past that by the time this comes out, but
well, I'm still wearing my Christmas clothes, my holiday clothes.
Wonderful. Okay. Yes, happy holidays.
Happy holidays!
You're looking lovely this evening.
Thank you. My mom brought me these earrings and this necklace and this dress. Yeah. Yes, I'm very pretty.
Very nice.
So, my name is Princess.
Nice to meet you, Princess.
Nice to meet you. And I am 10 years old. No, I'm 7 now. I forgot how old I am. I'm 7 years old. Yeah. So I like lots of really cool things. I have a dog. His name is Poppy. My favorite dog. Yeah. And I like to sing, and I like to dance. And I just like to play. I just like being a little girl.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Princess, what was the last show that you were on?
Oh, I just finished a show in a very cold place called Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
It was pretty cold. Yeah. We live in Florida, so it was really cold. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it was wonderful meeting you, Princess.
You also. Okay. Well, bye, everybody.
I love it. I love it.
Well, Princess is, I'm learning to be a builder. Not all puppeteers are builders or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So I am working on being a builder. I have some dear friends of mine that is helping me out. So I do have original puppets. Princess, of course, is original, but she was built by a woman named Deborah Fader many years ago. And so, yeah, all of my specialty puppets that I mentioned are built or at least designed, from somebody else or designed by me. I'll design them and they build.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you have lived this incredible life so far. I'm sure you have many more adventures ahead of you. Um, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting in puppetry or wanting to get into puppetry themselves?
Well, I come from the old school of learning how to do things the right way first. Um, and so, well, be an enthusiast, just go for it. If you love doing it, just keep doing it and you keep practicing. But at the same time, learn how to do things correctly. And uh, just the five basics of puppet manipulation. If we're talking about a typical hand puppet, like what you have with Kermit there, or Princess Hand Rod. So understand the exits and entrances, lip synchronization, height, eye contact, believable movements. Those are the five. I even have a video on YouTube explaining all of that. So you watch videos, watch the movements of what people do with puppets, and learn, imitate it. Watch Sesame Street. I still watch The Street.
Yeah.
I and I watch other puppet shows because I love watching the movements. Even as an actress myself, or as a theater teacher, I'll see a scene that live humans are doing in a movie or TV show, and I'll watch the reaction, and then I'll imitate that reaction of the and it could be even a slight little, little things like that you can kind of, like I said, put in your file cabinet. So learn, watch, and just go for it. And like I said, and don't worry about. That's why I shared the story about the criteria of auditioning. Yeah, they wanted someone who's taller, this and that, whatever, like that. And I still went for it, and I still got into the finals. No, I did not get picked to go to California because, like I said, it was under COVID. They can only have, but it was like 3 weeks too. 3 weeks. Yeah, it would have been a lot. But there was even this one moment where I was doing something with the puppet, and Kevin Clash started laughing. And
that had to have felt great.
Exactly. And I walked away, and I said, from the whole thing, I felt I did a fine, audition, but I walked away and I go, you know what? At the end of the day, you finally got to audition for him. Okay. So it came back full circle. Number two, you made Tickle Me Elmo laugh. What more do you want? Type of thing.
Wow.
So, it's been, it's been a great ride, and it is a great ride. And I have, I've just been honored that up in UConn, for those who don't know, the University of Connecticut has one of the only, maybe right now, the only puppetry arts major that you can major in puppetry, and course, up there, major in at UConn, where, these people go to Broadway, Hollywood, type of things. Just amazing puppetry up there. And so I was one of the ones. There's a puppet museum there, and what was it, 2018? Yeah, it was it's called Living Objects, African American Puppetry, and I was one of the ones honored to be part of that exhibit and even perform, which is a huge honor.
Yeah.
I now serve on the executive board of the Puppeteers of America. And by the way, this is a plug, shameless plug.
Oh, I love those.
The National Puppeteers of America Conference, we're back, is going to be at the University of Maryland, where that famous statue is of Jim Henson with Kermit on a bench, okay, is there the week of July 18th, 2023.
So we haven't missed this one.
We have not missed, nope. And we are excited. There are going to be some huge celebrities there. The Henson family will be out. Some other very famous puppeteers. That's all I can say. But you can go look at puppeteers. I think it's .org or .com. But just Google Puppeteers of America, and under festivals or conferences, you'll see. It's probably on the first page, I think. You will see the information, and there's already some stuff that's up. Okay, so please come support and have a ball. It's a whole week of just puppet classes, puppet shows. International shows. It's going to be fabulous, fantastic. So
wonderful.
Please come out. I'll be there.
So Edna, where can people keep up with what you're doing and follow your journey? And is there anything else you want to plug?
Well, my website is, well, if you want to follow the link right here, it's lovelydaycreativearts.com. So you can find out more about me, see pictures, videos, different things like that, of my journey. And of course, I'm on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I need to do more videos on TikTok. I think I watch more than post. But yeah, I'm all over social media, and you just Google me, and I'll be there.
We'll make sure all of your links are in the description of the video, so you can check her out down in that description.
Thank you. And so I'm working on some great projects. I have a show that I've been got some grant money for called Langston's Hood, and so I'm excited for that show to be produced. Like I said, I'm a producer.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that one. And yeah, just follow me, and you know what? And follow your dreams. It is so important, guys. Like I said, tap into whatever, realize what is it that I'm pretty good at. Okay. And don't be ashamed of what it is. There's something that everybody is naturally good at. I am lousy at math. Lousy. But I like to write. And so, and if you like to write or do whatever this you have to do, then go get proper training in, including puppetry. Okay. So go get the proper training in what you like to do. Now, you always, it's like driving a car. You got to get those proper driver's license, lessons. Then, you got to pass that test. And once you pass that test, people drive any way they want. Did they actually pass the test? Anyway, so, but, go, then you just, I say that to say, then you just take what you learn and make it your own, and, but learn how to do things properly and how to do things correctly first. And then whenever you see any kind of an opportunity or something that you would like, just dive into it. Just go with your gut. You got to go with your gut. The last time I saw Carol Spinney, it was about 8 months before he passed away. And it was actually at a Comic-Con that was here in Florida. Wow. And there's something inside of me that said, you got to go. You got to go there. And I just, it was a 3-hour journey. I got a friend of mine. We drove down there, and we got to spend some time together. So like a half an hour, just one-on-one, just me and him. And I got to thank him for, all of his influence, and for, and I gave him a book of pictures of, like, because of you, I get to pass it on to other kids, to experience the art of puppetry and their creativity, and, how to collaborate with each other and how to communicate with each other. So, I just wanted him to know that. And, and like I said, months later he had passed on, but it was just the fact that you got to go with your gut. You just, I could do it some other, no. If it hit you, do it, because you never know. And yet again, I said before, I'm a firm believer of nothing just happens. Okay.
Well, I fully agree with everything you said there. This show is my version of just doing what I love and going for it. So, and thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast talking to you. And so we take you back to me in the studio. Thank you so much. Well, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Don't forget to ring that bell so you get notified whenever we upload new content. Until next time, good night, my sweet amigos. I'll see you in the future.